Good morning, my friends. It's Sabrina with Tree of Life Inner Guidance, and it's the Tuesday morning coffee edition. I love my coffee. It is Tuesday, September 2nd. It's 9:42 a.m. Mountain Time. I am in New Mexico. So this morning we're just going to chat a little bit about the lunar eclipse coming up on Sunday, the full moon lunar eclipse coming up on Sunday. Now, I am not a person that's going to make any predictions. I will tell you that right out of the gate. But what I love about astrology is astrology shows you potentially what could happen. So if you are armed with that knowledge of what potentially could happen during different aspects of the planets, you can be better prepared to deal with that. Now, the first thing I will say out of the gate with a full moon. So, what's another word for moon? Luna. And where do you think that word lunatic came from? So when the moon is full, the tides are high, emotions run high. The moon controls emotions or gives examples of what you may be emotionally like if you know your astrological chart. So, first of all, let me just say to you that how you can find your astrological chart. Many wonderful and amazing astrologers have something that you can go right onto their website and get your astrological chart, maybe even a little report that goes with it. Pam Gregory, I believe, has that on her website. Another company that I use Solar Fire, that's put out by Astrolabe, and their website is Alabe. So that's ALABE.com. You can go in there, punch in your information. Now, what you will need to get a true astrological chart for accuracy is you obviously need your date of birth, date, year, place of birth. So not where you lived as a kid, but where you were actually born. For example, I was born in one city in Pennsylvania, but I didn't grow up there. So you're going to use your place of birth, and you need your exact birth time. Now, if you don't have your birth time, how you get your birth time, and I know that very well because I guess, is it really 40 years ago? I guess it's been 40 years ago. A friend of mine who was doing astrology at the time, she wanted me to get my birth time. And I hemmed and hawed, and I basically forgot about it because I wasn't into astrology. I'm a Sagittarius, who cares? So what I told her, I said, when I do get this birth time, we're going to find out why I typically don't get along with the standard signs that a Sagittarius is supposed to get along with. I'm trying to keep this computer awake here that has a chart on it. But anyway, so I finally remembered to do something about getting my birth time, and my birth certificate did not have the time on it. So I'm alerting you to this. So if you do go out and try to get your birth time on your birth certificate, you have to very specifically request the time of birth, or it may not automatically be on your birth certificate. At least it has not been back when I got my birth certificate. So sure as shoot, when I got my birth time and had my chart done, I totally get why, as a Sagittarius, you're supposed to get along with Leo and Aries, the fire signs, and you're supposed to get along with the air signs, Gemini, Aquarius, Libra. Well, most of my friends are Cancers and Pisces, which was really bizarre. I mean, I love Leo men. Leo men love me. And I do have a friend that's a Gemini, but her whole chart is Taurus and Cancer. So I discovered that I have a bazillion planets in Capricorn, And my whole signature of my chart is Earth Cardinal. So even though I'm a Sagittarius, the only thing I have in Sagittarius is my sun. And as far as fire, I have Jupiter and Aries, which squares all my Capricorn, which makes for a lively human being. Anyway, that's why getting the exact time of your birth is important. Now, sometimes you just can't get that. You could work with an astrologer who can rectify your chart. And what they do is, they have a discussion with you. They do a reading for you. They look at your chart, and based on different things that have happened in your life, your personality, jobs, etc., they can kind of get that chart to the point where this could potentially be your rising sign. Now, your rising sign is the time you were born. So different planets are going to be on your ascendant. Now, I can't get into a whole entire astrological session here with you because that would take too long. And down the road, probably starting in January, I'll be doing astrology and tarot and runes classes, etc. But anyway, that's why it's important to get your birth time, because your ascendant, what's on the horizon at the time you were born, is going to set up your whole chart. And this is also why two people can be a Sagittarius, in my case, and be completely different. I have another friend that's a Sagittarius, bless her heart. She's Libra rising. She has a Libra moon. And, she's lovely. She has the most beautiful smile. She's Miss Congeniality. Let me just tell you, I am not. But she is Miss Congeniality. And she also really, the saying that she wouldn't say poop if she had a mouthful. Now, I don't even need to have anything in my mouth to blurt things out. But at any rate, her and I are different. We're both Sagittarius. She's got a whole different setup with her chart. So this is why when you read in the newspaper or online or whatever, the sun sign astrological report is going to be very, very different for each individual, even though you're the same zodiac sign. So that's why when you're reading these things online, you should know your ascendant, hopefully. So I always read my ascendant, and my ascendant resonates with me. The chart set up more than honestly, I don't read anything to do with Sagittarius because I have a Sag sun. I know my personality, but the inner workings of my chart, if I read my ascendant, is set up much more accurate for me when I do listen to these little monthly reports. Anyway, so it's important to get your birth time so you can get a proper chart set up so you know what's going on with you and where all of the planets land and how they're going to affect the different departments of your life. Okay, now back to this upcoming full lunar eclipse in Pisces, the Pisces Virgo axis. Now, why is this an eclipse? What makes something an eclipse? So you have your sun, you have the earth, and you have the moon. So an eclipse happens, a lunar eclipse, when the earth comes in between the sun and the moon, and the earth casts a shadow on the moon, and it will turn the moon red. Now, imagine many centuries ago when we didn't have all of the wonderful electronic devices and we didn't have all these modern day things to help us understand what was going on in the sky. The peoples would look up and the moon would be red and they would freak out. Now, understandably, and they took it as an omen. So I don't want to say an eclipse is an omen, but what I do want to say is you have your new moon, which is kind of dark, your crescent moon, which is a good time to start the foundation for something new. Then you have a full moon, high tide. I'm from Boston, that area of New England, so we barely paid attention to the tides. So with an eclipse, the tide's going to probably be a little higher. Hopefully there's not going to be any storms because that's going to be a super mess if that happens. Okay. So then you have your full moon, which brings things to light. Now, that can be good, that can be bad. It just depends. And that might not even affect you at all, depending on if you have an axis in your chart that's going to set off 15 degrees of Pisces, 15 degrees of Virgo. Guess who has that? We'll see what happens. I have a pretty good idea what's going to happen. So what this full moon, this eclipse is going to do, the full moon is often endings. Now, why is it endings? Because if things are illuminated, you're going to see them more clearly. And there may be things that you just say, you know what, I'm sick of this shit and I'm out of here. That could be a job, that could be a living situation, that could be a relationship, friendship. It could be anything that all of a sudden has come to full light and you're like, what took me so long to see what is going on here and why have I not done anything about this? Okay. So now with an eclipse, that energy is going to be magnified because of the shadow over the moon and just the way things happen. And this is why all the astrologers are talking about eclipse season. So also, there is another eclipse in September towards the end of the month. That's a whole different ball game. I'll talk about that later. So September is reverberating essentially with all this lunatic energy, emotional energy. So this is why I wanted to come on here a little bit early to talk about the eclipse. It's Tuesday, the eclipse is Sunday, and it is at 10:19 a.m. Mountain Time where I am. Now, if you're in the East Coast, it's going to be a little different setup. If you go into Astrolab, ALABE.com, and pull up a chart for the eclipse this Sunday, depending on what time zone you're in, the astrological wheel based on the ascendant, which you need the time for, it's going to be a complete different setup. So that's how you'll figure out if you've got anything Virgo, Pisces, or other signs that connect with Virgo and Pisces. Those are considered mutable signs. Sag and Gemini are the other two mutable signs. That means we're more adaptable to change. We can kind of be a little, well, I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to do that. Unless you have something in your chart that's grounded. So what you're going to find over the next few days, there's always a build up to the full moon and especially to an eclipse. So why I say potential. Potentially, if this is really hitting some other people's charts, now you have yourself to worry about also, but you got to go out and work in the world and do your things. So you may encounter people that are getting hit with this eclipse and the degrees and signs. They might be bitchy, critical, edgy, more analytical and nasty. Now, I'm not saying Virgos are nasty, but these are the things that resonate with Virgo. So here's your symbol with Virgo. The sun is in Virgo, the moon is in Pisces. So Virgo, analytical, functional, efficient. My grandmother who raised me was a Virgo. She could also be nitpicky, bitchy. They look at all the little tiny details, which are awesome, especially if you're running the plutonium program at a laboratory. They want you analytical. They want you picky. They want you detail oriented. So every astrological sign has its place. Okay. So with the moon in Pisces being opposite Virgo, and here's your symbol for Pisces. Now, Pisces, on the other hand, is more forgiving, more dreamy, more, well, let's try and look at all the different things that could happen, psychic, intuitive. Okay. So if you have any of that stuff in your chart or that's going to be activated from this eclipse, okay, you're going to run into people who might be all those things. Or Pisces is ruled by Neptune. It's also drugs, alcohol, abuse. It can be very beautiful, very forgiving, very dreamy, very artsy, very wonderful. So each sign has a high point and a low point, you know, the sunny side and the dark side. So as you go throughout the rest of the week, just be a little bit more aware, be hyper aware actually, because it's eclipse. So it is going to be big, big, big full moon energy. Be hyper aware of what's going on around you, because this is going to affect other people. So try to be a little bit calmer when you drive, pay more attention. If you're cooking in the kitchen, watch those knives. There's also another aspect I'm going to talk about here in a minute. But go out the rest of the week knowing that their people are going to be activated from this upcoming full moon. So this is where knowing astrology is super helpful, because when I go out and drive downtown or whatever I'm going to do this weekend, I'm actually going to see the Fix on Friday night. How fun is that? Yeah, the 90s band and 80s band, the Fix. So I'm going to be really paying attention to how people are going to be behaving so I can protect myself from anything crazy happening. So that's why it's awesome to know astrology. When something big like this is happening, you can be hyper aware of your situations around you. And what we're always taught in martial arts is look for that exit. Okay? Always look around, make sure you know where the exit is so you can get out in case something crazy happens. I don't mean to scare you. I'm just arming you with material that will be helpful in case something does kind of go astray. So this particular eclipse is at 15 degrees of Pisces. Now, all the astrologers talk about the degrees. It's 2 degrees of Virgo. It's 5 degrees of Sagittarius. What does that mean? If you're a person that doesn't know astrology, then you have no idea what that means. Each sign has 15 degrees. I'm sorry, each sign has 30 degrees. Well, 29 degrees, 0 to 29, which makes it 30 degrees. So if you were born, say, in the middle of March, so that there's 30 degrees of Pisces, and it starts, you know, Pisces starts around February 19th-ish, and it ends around March 20th, 19. It's not exact because of leap year. So if you're born around the middle, you know, degrees of Pisces, that's going to be around March 10th-ish, give or take. So that's roughly going to be about 15 degrees of Pisces. So that's where these degree points come from. So if you're at 2 degrees of Pisces, right when the sign begins, which starts at the end of February, you're going to feel this eclipse some because it is in your sign of Pisces, but not nearly as much as if someone is 15 degrees of Pisces. And the same thing with Virgo, okay? So if you're born roughly around the 10th-ish, give or take a couple days of Virgo, that's going to be roughly 15 degrees, okay? So you're going to be affected by this. And then Gemini and Sag, square those signs, okay? You're going to be hit by this, and this might be a little bit of an awakening for you, okay? Or a kick in the pants, more than likely. So this is why it's important to know your astrological chart, so you can look at it and say, oh boy, that, you know, full moon is hitting right on my ascendant, your Pisces rising, 15 degrees. Yeah, this is going to change some things about you. So anyway, as a general reading for the collective, why it's important to know when a full moon, especially an eclipse, is coming up, because what's going on around you could be heightened emotions. So pay attention, be hyper vigilant about things going on around you. And if you know you have already some emotional friends, bosses, encounters, know that that could be heightened. Take a deep breath, try to shut your mouth, of all people saying shut your mouth, me. Okay. And just be really aware of what's happening. Okay. Now, this is a full moon. It is a Pisces. Pisces is ruled by Neptune. Who is the ruler of the seas? Neptune. High tide. There could potentially be some flooding episodes. I'm not predicting that. I'm saying potential, because the tides are already high during a full moon. This is an eclipse. It's a Pisces eclipse ruled by Neptune. So that could be potential for flooding in certain areas. So that's about as much prediction as I'm going to give you in that department. I am going to say it's going to be heightened emotions. If you're around some hotheads to begin with, just, be hyper vigilant about that. Okay. So, I have a couple of cards. Oh, you know what? I'm not done talking about this yet. I was going to show you the cards, but I'm not done yet. There's a couple other things are going on with this eclipse. So the nodes of the moon, and I don't have time to get into all that, are also involved in this eclipse. So the north node is conjunct, which means the same sign as the full moon, the north node. I'm going to show you the symbol for that. It looks like you have your headphones on. Okay, which with the north node, that's great imagery. You should put your headphones on to notice what your potential, and listen for what your potential could be. The north node is destiny and purpose and activation. So in your astrological chart, the north node is usually the only thing that's put on there. So the north node is where you're going, due north. Okay, so when you look at a compass, where do you always set that compass? You set it at due north and you move from there. So where you're always going towards is this north node. You're going towards your purpose, what you should be activating, and what your destiny is. Okay, so that's conjunct Pisces. So kindness, inclusion, intuition. You should be working towards those things, more forgiving. Pisces is one of the most forgiving signs in the zodiac. My friend Patty forgives everybody. And I'm like, bitch, they were mean to you. Stop it. So anyway, she doesn't. She'll be watching this video, so she'll get a laugh out of me saying that. And she also made fun of me being in my pajamas with earrings and lipstick on. But anyway, I kind of want to look a little decent on here, but I'm not ready to get dressed yet. It's my day off. I only work an hour today. So anyway, the south node is where you're coming from. The south node is what you tend to fall back into. Now, I'm a super example of the south node because I have south node in Capricorn. I always fall back on what? Work. I am your quintessential workaholic. And I know that. My friends know that. And my south node, what I'm used to doing, what makes me feel comfortable, is going into work mode, going into the boss, going into the CEO mode. That's what works for me. My north node, what I'm working towards, is in Cancer, the complete opposite sign of Capricorn. I enjoy being the den mother. Believe it or not, the north node is where once you can push yourself to get to that north node, it really makes you happy. It really does. So I kind of mother my clients, so to speak. I laugh and joke about being the den mother. But also what's super interesting about the north node, my north node's in Cancer. All my friends are pretty much are Cancers or Pisces, water signs. And all my Cancer friends, they can be very sweet and very nurturing, and I'm trying to take lessons from them. They are all in my life for me to understand how to be more nurturing, more mothering. Now, I'm very good at that with my animals. I'm super good with animals doing that. But with people, that puts you into a little bit more vulnerability. And Capricorns don't like being vulnerable. Just ask any of them, they'll tell you. So for me, I have to push towards that north node. So the north node is conjunct Pisces. So we all need to be more forgiving, more including of others, trying to understand others and where they're coming from. So these are all good points for this eclipse. So when you're off doing your daily do and you're out, um, try to be a little bit more forgiving and understanding of other people, because the whole entire world is on alert right now. You know that. I know that. I'm not going to get into politics. I don't want to talk about politics. So the whole world is in a heightened state right now. And this weekend is as we get closer to the eclipse, you can usually feel the eclipse coming, often for a couple of months in advance. So if there's something that you've been thinking that you need to end, get rid of, redo, move on from, this eclipse this weekend may just give you that kick in the pants. But so as we get closer to the eclipse, this energy is going to be heightened. So be aware of that. All right. Now, the other thing I want to say briefly here that's going on with this eclipse, I could go give a 2-hour yak on this whole chart, but I'm not going to. I don't have time, and you're not going to listen to me that long. Bless your heart for coming here anyway. And by the way, this is all for entertainment purposes only. So the other thing that I noticed with this chart here for the eclipse coming on Sunday is Mars, the god of war, its actions, it's how you express your, I don't want to call it warlike manner, your ego, how you assert yourself. There's the word I'm looking for. Now, Mars doesn't like being in Libra. Okay, why? Because Libra is all about balance and cooperation, and it's about the we, the we. And Mars is all about me. So Mars isn't super delighted to be in Libra. Okay, very nice Mars. It's one, but a little passive aggressive. Bless all your hearts that have Mars in Libra. And Mars in Libra is squaring Jupiter in Cancer. Now, Jupiter is delighted to be in Cancer. So what does all of that mean? So the square, it's an aspect. So you think square, it's made of two 90-degree angles. So where the planets land, if you just did a standard chart with Aries on the horizon, you would see that there is a 90-degree angle between Libra and Cancer. That means they don't really get along that great. They don't see eye to eye. Okay, so when you have Jupiter, which is the biggest planet in the solar system, and it's a gas giant. So it rules Sagittarius, and it's also the co-ruler of Pisces. Before they discovered Neptune, that Jupiter also ruled Pisces. So you have a Pisces full moon, you have Jupiter, that is the big gas giant, okay, it's going to be involved with this eclipse. Fortunately, it gets along very well. Cancer and Pisces get along very well, but it's squaring Mars. So we're going to bring in this passive aggressive Mars, and people may just blurt out how they've been feeling all along about you. And you might be like, or you could do that to somebody. You know, right now I don't have anybody that I want to say that to, fortunately, because I probably would anyway, whether there is an eclipse or not. But so you might blurt out something to somebody that's like, I'm sick of this nonsense and I'm not doing this anymore. Or they might do that to you. Or someone might tell you what they really think, and you're like, oh, where did that come from? So these are just potential things that could occur going on this weekend. Now, this all doesn't mean it's not going to all be bad. It's not going to all be good. But if you have in your back of your mind that people could be heightened in their emotions, you can be a little bit more vigilant about that. Or if you've been thinking, this isn't really working out for me, what am I going to do about this? There might be something that occurs throughout the next few days. Doesn't have to happen on the day of the eclipse. It could happen over the next few days. You might be like, you know what? I'm done. I'm just done. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to play anymore. I'm going to take my ball and go home. So that could happen over this weekend. Now, if none of this is affecting your chart, you might just dance through this eclipse and, you know, you might encounter some snippy people, but you're like, what's all this talk about, you know, the eclipse and, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's not affecting you. You'll get your turn. Don't worry. So anyway, I have a couple cards I'm going to talk about now. I'm going to show you, and this is from this very beautiful deck. These are Moonology Manifestation Oracle cards. And I'm just going to show you what it has for the full moon in Pisces. Beautiful cards. So the full moon in Pisces, the key word there is to forgive. I'm not super good at that, but I'll work on it for that weekend. Okay. So there's your keyword for the full moon in Pisces this weekend, forgive. Then I'm going to show you another little card that is from Moon Magic. These are super cute little cards. I got these at a local thrift shop. Okay. This is perfect. So I'll hold it up here for you. Okay. Oops. Let's get rid of that glare. All right. I'll read it out loud. I accept that here and now is exactly where I am, and that it is a place of profound learning. So I'll just say that, you know, maybe things will happen throughout the next few days that you didn't even know you felt this way about something, and you're going to learn now that you got to deal with that just potentially happening. All right, and then this last deck is kind of fun. This is what's in your stars. I got that at the same thrift store. I love this thrift store. It's super cute. So I will hold this card up for a bit before I read it to you. And ironically, this is a card around Capricorn. So I will read this to you. This says confidence, high point, or despondency. Step into the forest path. If you are able to embrace with confidence, stand tall with a sense of inner strength as you step into the unknown. Now, there might be an ending from this eclipse, and something ends, and you don't know what you're going to do. So that's what this is talking about here, that you're going to step into the forest, you're going to step into the unknown if you get into a situation like this, and you're not sure what you're going to do, but to just step confidently into the unknown. The opposite feeling is one of ongoing gloom and low motivation that stems from a self-critical gaze. That is South Node in Virgo, being hypercritical of yourself. Virgos can be critical of others, but they're critical of others because they're looking for the good and how they can help. Virgos love to help. If you need help around the house and they can help you with a project, they're delighted. Okay. But know that South Node in Virgo can be hyper self-critical. Okay. Cultivate your trust in yourself as you explore new paths. So I know this was a lot, especially if you don't really know that much about astrology. I tried to make it general enough that it would apply to anyone. And if you are interested in more of this stuff, just give me a little time. I'm new to putting all this on YouTube. I'm not new to teaching. I'm not new to giving lectures. I was an international fitness teacher trainer for 26 years. I got sent all over the world to train instructors. That's my kind of day job. I'm a Pilates instructor, personal trainer. I also have a degree in wellness counseling and nutrition. And obviously, I started this whole thing with astrology 40 years ago. Tarot came maybe about, I don't know, a few years after that. So decades of this, and now I'm just getting super serious about it. And also runes, which I'm going to be doing the rune for the day. Not every day, but we'll go with the rune for the week. I might be able to get that on here. So anyway, I hope this shed a little bit of light on what's going to be happening this coming weekend. If anything else comes to mind, I hope to be on here on Friday for Feel Good Friday. And I would appreciate it if you like these talks to do please like and subscribe to the channel. I've been giving these talks for, will be a year in November on Facebook, but I'm moving everything onto YouTube now. So thank you for stopping by. I hope this was helpful. And just be a little bit hyper vigilant about the next few days. It will all calm down, in another week or two. And I hope that whatever is best for you will be illuminated with this upcoming lunar eclipse, and that it will serve you as best as possible in your life to take the best steps forward from this eclipse. All right. Have a great Tuesday. Thank you very much.